Obama's Universal Service Plan. Training a socialist army of world servers. We cannot continue to rely on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded. Barack Obama. People of all ages, stations, and skills will be asked to serve. I will set a goal for all American middle and high school students to perform 50 hours of service a year, and for all college students to perform 100 hours of service a year. Barack Obama. The disruption of the present organization is the first step toward community organization. All change means disorganization of the old and organization of the new. Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky, the Marxist organizer whose disciples mentored Obama. These are serious times, Barack Obama said recently, and they call for a serious debate about where we need to take the nation. That's true. So where does he want to take the nation? How does his version of service fit his vision of change? And what will it cost in terms of freedom, privacy, taxes, and government control? There's nothing wrong with the old voluntary, personal service to the poor and needy. For centuries, Christian missionaries have given their lives and comforts to serve God among the sick, hungry and dying people in distant parts of the world. Others have shown the same God-given compassion in their own communities. They demonstrated His love, shared His life-saving truths, and brought hope as well as help to the needy. Obama's plan is radically different. Aimed at socialist change, it would raise religious boundaries, limit free speech, and ban divisive truths. It must be tolerant of today's amoral values, and militantly intolerant toward traditional values. And, like the tactics outlined in Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, it would use deception and agitation to create conflict, and the Hegelian Marxist dialectic process to manipulate minds and establish the plan's solidarity. Obama learned it all during his years as community organizer in Chicago. Service learning isn't a new phenomenon. It has been well tested by U.S. educators for more than a decade. What's new is the scale of Obama's plan. His massive system would press students and citizens of all ages in a revolutionary government-led program to change the way people think and relate to each other. A more descriptive term would be mass brainwashing. He outlines it on his official website. Expand service learning in our nation's schools. Obama will set a goal that all middle and high school students do 50 hours of community service a year. He will develop national guidelines for service learning and will give schools better tools both to develop programs and to document student experience. National guidelines, documenting each server. Such traditional words now have new meanings and requirements unknown to the public. Service learning implies socialist indoctrination through facilitated group dialogue designed to break down barriers, manipulate minds, and build unity in diversity. All members will be monitored and tracked by massive computer networks, and all the personal attitudes, beliefs, values, adaptability, and especially resistance to the planned change will be recorded within these systems. Does that remind you of China's Dangan, the growing personal data file that follows each Chinese citizen through life? It should, because America is following the well-tested footprints of communist dictators in both China and Russia. China is using and testing sophisticated American technology to advance its universal and transformational surveillance system. This fact sheds some sobering light on Obama's promise that we'll use technology to connect people to service. You'll be able to search by category, time commitment, and skill sets. You'll be able to rate service opportunities, build service networks, and create your own service pages to track your hours and activities. This will empower more Americans to craft their own service agenda and make their own change from the bottom up. Make their own change. That may sound good, but there would be no freedom to deviate from the new guidelines. Besides, all this personal information would be available to government leaders and facilitators. Look at other facets of Obama's plan. Each would involve group training in dialectical thinking. An article titled "A New Era of Service" quotes Obama saying, "I will call on a new generation of Americans to join our military. I will expand AmeriCorps to 250,000 slots and make that increased service a vehicle to meet national goals like providing health care and education, saving our planet and restoring a standing in the world so that citizens see their efforts connected to a common purpose." Meanwhile, each crisis, real or contrived, will be used by today's change agents to raise the dissatisfaction, passion, and justification needed to speed the planned change. "We are on the verge of a global transformation," said David Rockefeller. "All we need is the right major crisis." Obama's training in revolutionary change. Thomas Sowell wrote in his book aptly titled, "Is Reality Optional?" Running left-wing movements has always been the prerogative of spoiled rich kids. This pattern goes all the way back to the days when an overindulged and affluent young man named Karl Marx combined with another overindulged youth from a wealthy family named Friedrich Engels to create the communist ideology. The phoniness of the claim to be a movement of the working class was blatant from the beginning. When Engels was elected as a delegate to the Communist League in 1847, in his own words, "A working man was proposed for appearance's sake, but those who proposed him voted for me." It may have been the first direct election of the communist movement, but it was certainly not the last. The anointed have always wanted to create their own kind of people, as well as their own kind of society. Already influenced by the communist poet Frank Marshall Davis, Obama attended the elite Punahou School in Hawaii. He studied at prestigious universities such as Columbia and Harvard. His rise to power was funded by rich, liberal men and foundations. They sought his talents and used his rage to facilitate change. As a community organizer, Obama was supported by the Woods Fund, a wealthy left-wing foundation. So were Blair's and two radical training organizations founded by Alinsky's disciples, the Center for Community Change and the Midwest Academy. According to David Freddoso, author of The Case Against Barack Obama, Obama and Blair served together as board members of the Woods Fund from 1999 to 2002. The Woods Fund also supports the radical activities of ACORN, the Association of Community Organizations for Reform Now. Like many other radical organizations, ACORN's strategies are based on Alinsky's revolutionary tactics. Since socialists are not accountable to traditional ethics, ACORN's dishonest dealing should surprise us. The real mission is to radicalize American youth and use them to bring about social change through threats, pressure, tension and confrontation. The tactics used by the father of community organizing, Saul the Red Alinsky,